Morning, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to the show. Glad to have you guys here on this 30th, almost the end of January 2024. It's a Tuesday. Thank you for tuning in. First thing I want to talk about here is the ECB, the European Central Bank. So it's starting in Europe. They're going to be monitoring social media, listening to everything you say. And what are they looking for? Early signs of people talking about a bank. So if you're talking about a bank, like on your phone or whatever, to other people, they're going to be monitoring for that. And they want to know ahead of time. People are talking, they're going to pull their money out of the bank. This is a troubling sign that not all's well in the European banking system. They're worried. This is the whole thing about fractional. I'm going to tell you how it all got its start, Going back like thousands of years ago, there used to be these guys who used to keep people's gold for them. And the reason why is because, okay, you were a wealthy man if you had a little bag of gold and your neighbor didn't. That means your neighbor's a slave to you because you had the gold and he doesn't have it. Right? So what if your neighbor were to slip into your house while you're asleep and steal your little bag of gold? Now he's the rich guy and you're the poor guy. So to keep this from happening, they used to give their gold to these people called goldsmiths, who had a vault or a place to keep it or guard it. And they guard it for everybody in the community. It was like a bank. So these goldsmiths started to print up these little notes on paper that says, hey, this guy's given me a certain amount of gold to keep for him. So-and-so, right? And they give them these little notes that would be certificates of the gold that was in the... And so they started using those notes to trade back and forth, and they became the first earliest paper currencies. But what the goldsmiths would do is they would give out an awful lot more notes than there was the gold in their vaults. Does it sound familiar? This is the trick, and this is where it got started. It was crooked corruption from the very beginning. And so, that the money that you think you have doesn't really exist in the real world in the banking system. And if everybody goes in and tries to take it out, bank run. Because they don't have it. Or they might only have a fraction of it, what you want. And so now what they're going to do is they're going to monitor everybody to find out when this action might be coming, so that they can get a heads up on you. Maybe, I don't know what they'd do. Maybe if they heard it's coming, maybe they'll lock their doors and all head home. I don't know. Put a chain around the door and you get to the bank and it's all locked up. I don't know what their plan is to try to stop you from getting your money. But anyway, they're going to monitor things. It says the ECB has asked some of its banks. It says European Central Bank has asked some banks to closely monitor activity. Those are probably the banks that's getting ready to go down are the ones that's doing the monitoring, I would guess. That'd be my guess on it. Closely monitor activity on social media to detect worsening sentiment, which could lead to a deposit run. European regulators have sharpened scrutiny of the bank's liquidity after a collapse of Silicon Valley Bank and Credit Suisse in March of last year. Well, it's going to be March again this year. The Bank Term Funding Program ran for 1 year. And so it's March to March. And so we saw the banks all going down in March. Prepare for the banks to start going down again in March of this year, but it might be a whole lot bigger this time than it was last time. We're going to have to wait and see how this develops. Now, in other news, Elon Musk. He's done it. He's done it, boys. The final step in the evolutionary development. Evolution. This is evolution. Elon Musk says the first human has received an implant from Neuralink, but the details are scant. New York. According to Elon Musk, the first human received an implant from his computer brain interface company Neuralink over the weekend. See, you know what's going to happen with this? The first implants are like It's like Model 1. It's like the Model T of the cars. You remember when they had the Model T as the cars came along? And not long afterwards, they started to refine the cars, and the cars got better and faster and more efficient and everything else. Well, that's the way with this. This is the Model T of neural implants. And it's on its first patient. But, you know, the door this opens is... It's unbelievable, the door that this opens to technology. Because with this sort of a thing, when these newer models come along, they're going to be able to do more things. Like, you know, the Model T on the car, you know, I mean, it could drive down the road like our cars today, you know, but it didn't have heated seats. It didn't have... windshield wipers. It didn't have, I don't know, all the modern things, like airbags and side door collision things and you know, all the, it didn't even have a reverse. I don't know, did they have a reverse gear in the Model Ts? I think they did. Or did you have to push it backwards? I don't know. But it was very simple and basic, is basically what I'm getting at to. And then it was refined in the later cars. Well, this is the way with Neuralink. These first Neuralinks, they're big, clunky. They're like a Model T. But you watch. As generations go by, it'll be, in the end, they won't even have to do an operation in the end. It'll be the size of a grain of sand or smaller. And it'll be 1,000 more times more powerful than these first Neuralinks. And for putting it inside, they'll just use quantum teleportation. They'll teleport the device inside you, like on Star Trek. Because our technology is going to be like Star Trek, and this is one of the big things that's going to enable a quantum technology leap. The things that can be done with this type of technology, everything that makes you conscious of this world that you're in right now is all data. And what you're conscious of is data. It's all binary. It's all... See, this is what computers read. Computers read something called binary code, which is ones and zeros. Taking this to the next level, you know, your whole reality you're in right now, you're basically reading and translating this. For crying out loud, when you look out through your eyes, it's all upside down in the first place. Your brain has to descramble it and make it all right side up. This is a quantum leap, I see, in the evolutionary chain. It probably happens every single time. I mean, anytime you get a planet out there in space, it could be 100 light years from here, and they develop technology and they're smart enough to get to a certain point in their technological advancement. This is probably one of the biggest inventions that come along, bigger than the wheel. And it takes them into this next evolutionary step. So if it happens every time a civilization gets smart enough to come across this, then it's a permanent marker in the evolutionary scale. And this is my belief on it, you know. That this is big, this is huge, is this Neuralink. I mean, the data that is you, it's just data. All your memories are just data compressed inside your brain, compresses them. This is why we call it forgetting. You know, think about your earliest memories you have when you're a little child, as far back as you can go. Why are those memories so foggy? Like, not like they happened yesterday, but like they happened a long time ago. This is because as new data comes into your brain fragments the old data into smaller and smaller units, and we call this forgetting. So that it doesn't overwhelm. I mean, if you were to take in all the data you take in over a complete lifetime, and I mean you're taking in thousands of bits and bytes every time you look across the room, you turn your head and look across the room, your brain is translating information. Thousands of bits and bytes of information. It has to compact that away. It's memory. So yeah, I mean, just like a regular computer. When I used to get the computers, you know, early days, like this is like back around the year 2000. You used to have to do that manually in your computer. You used to have to go in, defrag your hard drive. A lot of you guys remember it? Well, your brain does that automatically. Anyway, I'm getting bogged down here. I got to move on. I've got a lot to cover in this show. U.S.-Iran proxy war is at a turning point after American troops are killed. The killing of 3 U.S. troops is dragging the United States further into a proxy war with Iran that President Joe Biden has hoped to avoid, and that he still hopes can be contained. So, but they said listen, I heard they said they're gonna do something about it. In other words, they're gonna, so what can they do aside from attacking Iran that they haven't already done? I'm just wondering, you know, about this. They've hit these Iranian-backed groups, the Houthis and all this. They've already struck them. So it says the United States has already been hitting another Iranian-backed group, Yemen Houthi rebels. The strikes come after warnings failed to dissuade the Houthis on attacks on Red Sea shipping. Short of attacking Iran, what recourse have they got now? I just wondering. Like, I'm curious about that. What kind of recourse would they have? Well, I guess we're going to have to wait and see. Short of attacking Iran. You know? Now, we also got this. It's called God's Army. It's heading toward Texas. It's a convoy of trucks heading toward Texas. They're going to protest the record number of migrants illegally crossing in from Mexico. Organizers say they want to stand up to the globalists, who they believe are conspiring to let migrants illegally flood into the country. And one guy says, this is biblical. A monumental moment that's been put together by God, one organizer said. And another one said, we are besieged on all sides by dark forces of evil, said another one. And the group is planning the convoy set to leave Virginia Beach on Monday. Well, that's yesterday. They're leaving for Texas, followed by 3 rallies at sites near Eagle Pass on the border between Texas and Mexico. It says the group wants peaceful rallies, but admitted that the demonstrations could get out of hand. Uh-oh. Anyway. And now, in other stories, too, you know, I got a kick out of this story. It was an old dying thief, and he stole a pair of slippers. But they're very special slippers. How many of you guys out there have seen The Wizard of Oz when you were a kid? And you remember Judy Garland? She was kind of, toward the end, especially toward the end of the movie, she kind of had that slipper on her foot, and she's kind of wiggling her foot back and forth and looking down at her slippers, and they were pretty. Well, there they are, and that's after all these years. They don't look quite as sparkly as they did in the film. They're getting old, the slippers are, you know. But he stole them, and you know the reason why he stole them? Well, there's a jewel on the center of the, very center on the bow. There's a little bow there, see? And there's a jewel in the center. It's a little red ruby jewel, and he thought that those were real rubies. The thief. Evidently, they're cut glass. And that doesn't surprise me because, you know, it used to be much more common back, like going back previous generations, like back into the 20th century. It used to be much more common, and in the 1800s and 1900s, it used to be much more common for cut glass. They used to use it an awful lot more in jewelry than they do now. And I suppose it's kind of an art to cut glass gems out of glass. I don't think they do that so much anymore. But it used to be very common, and they were very good at it. They make them look like real jewels because it's all about the way it's cut, you know. And glass is very hard, you know. And it cuts similar. It would cut similar to the way you cut a diamond and stuff. A lot of work though for just something that's just glass. A lot of work getting in all those fractals, you know, that they have to cut when they're cutting it's worth it to do it on something like a real ruby or a diamond or something. It's worth the labor and it's involved. Now, Republicans are unveiling impeachment articles against the head of Homeland Security. It says they're publishing 2 articles of impeachment against Homeland Security Secretary Alejandro Mayorkas on Sunday and plan to formally advance them on Tuesday toward a full House vote. So there you go. It's if you haven't noticed, there's a huge political divide in America right now between the 2 political parties. And it's advancing toward a place where look, we got our enemies, foreign and domestic, off of our shores. Places like Russia. They're watching these events unfold very carefully. We got to be careful. We don't want to go here, the area where we're going, because we're advancing towards some place we don't want to go. Dare I say, you know, I mean, no, we're not at the position of being at civil war in the United States yet. But at the end of this road, anything could happen. Even that. If they continue to advance down that road. It's time to stop and say, hey, what are we doing? What in the hell are we doing? We don't want to go here. It's time to stop before we get there. Because this is a road that leads to a very bad, dark place. And why I say that is, if America were to dissolve into chaos, our enemies would more than likely take advantage of that, and it could lead to a world war. A world war like we don't want to have to mess with, and then we wouldn't have anything to worry about. The only thing we'd have to worry about then is not even be able to see the sun for 2 years. And have the temperature drop by 15 degrees. 20 degrees. In other words, snow all summer as far south as Georgia. And what, are you going to be worried about these little political differences you have then? You'll be lucky if you survive that. It probably won't survive that. With radiation raining down like snow. That's America is holds, for right or for wrong, America is the seat of world power. But there's hundreds of others out there who'd like to have that power. The world's a powder keg right now. We need to get our basically what I'm saying is we need to get our act together. And strife and infighting, a house divided against itself will not stand. Hundreds of tractors are chugging toward Paris. So it's not just us. It's over in Europe too. The whole thing is starting to come unwound. And really fast, in real time here. And I'm telling you, it's scary. These are really bad times we got right now. Hundreds of tractors in Paris are chugging toward Paris. They're going to choke the city. It says, look at them, the freeways in and out of Paris. Look, you can't get through there. They got the tractors all lined up. Just try to get through. You couldn't get through there with a semi-truck, for crying out loud. And in front, I guess they got the manure spreader ready to shoot. That thing can shoot manure for 800 feet. That big red one there, with that big thing on the back. I see he's got a load of manure on board, and he's got the chute ready to aim it wherever. I bet you that thing can throw about, I'm going to say it probably throw 150, maybe 200 yards. I'm just guessing. But I'm going to guarantee you that thing can really shoot the poo. And he's got probably, I don't know, 20 tons on board of that stuff. Ready to go. That's their weapon. That's their tank. That's their, and he's in the lead. All the other trucks are ready for action. Tractors are ready for action as well, you know. Boys, oh boys, and that's blocking that one road off, and I guess all the roads leading in and out of Paris are slowly being, it says the city is slowly being encircled. From a variety of directions, the farmers are heading toward the French capital, bringing their anger to the heart of the nation. 800 tractors are surrounding the city. Can you imagine? Look, here it is, right here on this map. This is incredible. They got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 blockages coming in from every different direction into the city of Paris. Ain't that something? 23.02 today for silver. Silver is down 16 cents, but it's maintaining above $23, so that's good. Now we're going to take a look at cryptos. Now, I heard Bitcoin's done good in the last day or so. And it's back up to around 43,358. And 2360 for Ethereum. And XRP's at 52.6 cents. As far as the Dow Jones today we're down 27 points on the Dow at 37,305. Crude oil today is at 77.57 on the day. It's up 79 cents. So we're getting really close to $80. Bonds and rates, mixed bag. Short ends rising, long ends falling. The 10-year has fallen 1.7 basis points at 40.7. And the U.S. 30-year is at 4.29. It's fell 3.7 basis points. And the dollar index today is at 103.54. I'll tell you guys what I'm expecting, kind of. I'm expecting probably March or April that we're going to start to see another series of banking failures. And I'm expecting that the markets, we're going to get into some sort of a chaotic situation because the liquidity is drying up from the system right now, massively fast. And, you know, they're going to have to get back to the business of creating new liquidity, and it's going to take a lot to get us out of this mess once it really starts. Well, this is my show for today. Thank you guys for listening. And push that thumbs up button, and we'll catch you guys in the next show. And have a great afternoon. Bye-bye.